This is not a camera. It's a puzzle box, and by the end of the video, you'll know exactly how to print it, assemble it, how it works, and how to solve it. Let's get started. First, let's take a look at how to solve this clever little puzzle. The goal of the puzzle is to open the secret door. There are several movable pieces, and it's up to the player to find out what they do. Do you already have an idea where to start? I mean, it looks like a camera, and clearly you have to take off the cover before taking some pictures. Removing the cover opens up a hole. What could it be for? This seems to be locked as well. Let's try to unlock it by aligning both parts. It looks like the hole in the lens. Pushing the key in unlocks the lens rotation. Removing the key locks it again. Now you can rotate this button to get the correct combination. X9 and Y4. Now push the button and the door opens. Satisfying, isn't it? Before we get to the assembly, let's talk about the best settings for printing your own puzzle box. I printed every part in PLA with 0.2mm layer height and 10% infill on my Anycubic Cobra 2 Pro. All parts can be printed without support, but some parts need some extra attention. There is an optional fuzzy skin object that you can use as a modifier in Prusa Slicer to get a textured case. The door has to be printed in the upright orientation. I recommend printing it with brim to get better layer adhesion. Print the lens and cover with max 10% infill. If those parts get too heavy, the camera will tip over. There are some non-3D printed parts that you require, but for more infos, check the download links in the description. Start by gluing the magnets to these parts. Make sure the orientation of the magnets is correct so these parts attract each other. Insert 3 nuts into the lens. Glue the 2 pins to the door for the snapping effect of the lock. Glue 2 magnets to each of those parts, but make sure the trigger gets attracted towards the top case of the camera and repulsed from the bottom part. Insert 7 nuts into the camera case. For easier assembly, use a longer screw and pull them into the holes. If those nuts are too loose, use some glue so they don't fall out. Use the guide part for the lens and make sure the nose is looking downwards. Now attach the lens with the magnetic disc onto the guide part. The lens should be rotating without much resistance. Now screw the counterpart to it using M3 by 40 bolts. Try the mechanism by inserting the key. There should be a slight resistance when inserting, and it should lock itself when rotating back to the initial position without the key. Insert this part when the lens is locked as shown here. Snap on the bottom plate and fix it with 4 M3 by 12 screws. Insert the interior. Next up is the door. Use the Y back lock, the Y lock, and screw them together with M3 by 12 bolts so the 4 is showing upwards when the door is unlocked. Same for the X lock, but the 9 should point upwards instead of the 4. Insert the viewfinder from the bottom in a rotating motion. Then slide up the other part of the viewfinder from the bottom. The rest of the parts are just pushed in. Now, assemble the main case, the top of the camera, and try to get the door in between both. This step might be a bit tricky. Screw them together using M3 by 20 bolts. Check if everything works as intended and moves smoothly without needing much force. Otherwise, you need to do some manual work on the parts. That's it. Thank you for watching.